Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video today I am going to give you my score predictions for the Manchester United Liverpool game. Also, going to give you my starting 11 prediction. It is on the 20th of October. I think it is on a Sunday, and it is 4:30 kick-off. But we do know that Manchester United and Liverpool is always a big massive game. Obviously, it is still an iconic fixture. Despite that, we've been a toxic football club for the last 6 or 7 years, and obviously, we've enjoyed a really bad start to this season. Obviously, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season, for 3 decades. But we do know at this moment in time, Liverpool are strides ahead of Manchester United. So obviously, Liverpool are going to be, the favourites, to obviously, win this game. But of course, Manchester United and Liverpool are the two most successful clubs in England, historically. Obviously, reflecting on the amount of silverware both clubs have won, and that obviously Liverpool have won 18 Old First Divisions, but obviously Liverpool have not yet ever won the Premier League. But I think this could be the season where Liverpool do win their first Premier League title. Liverpool haven't won ever won the Premier League, but they haven't won it all in all for 3 decades. But like I mentioned, they have won 18 Old First Divisions. Obviously Manchester United have won 20 titles in total, 7 Old First Divisions and 13 Premier League titles. And I think overall Manchester United have won 42 major honours. Liverpool, of course, have won 43 major honours. But obviously, Liverpool have enjoyed a really good start to this season. Obviously, they've won 8 out of 8. They are sitting 8 points clear of Manchester City, and they've registered 24 points from a possible 24. So we are aware how much of a difficult game, this is going to be, for us. Like I said, Liverpool, a very, very good team. They've got a lot of good players, in their squad, that could cause us all sorts of problems. But Liverpool have got good attacking intent in their team. Obviously, Liverpool, were sensible with their recruitment. Obviously, Liverpool didn't sign anyone, this summer. Well, earlier on this summer, they didn't sign anybody, but they got a couple of players in, the recent window. So they did, a really, really good investment. Obviously, Liverpool paid, £75 million for Virgil van Dijk. Obviously, he's the most expensive, was the most expensive defender in the world. He's the second most expensive defender in the world. Obviously, they've got Alisson. Obviously, they've got a great attacking trio in Salah, Firmino, and Mane. They show good attacking intent. Obviously, they have a lot of intuition about the game. They are good at scoring a lot of goals. Also, are good at creating chances. They've got 2 fantastic fullbacks in their team of Liverpool. Obviously, they've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and obviously, Andrew Robinson. So, Liverpool have got some really, really good players in their team. And, to be fair, I hate to say this, but I've got, obviously, I do think, Jurgen Klopp has done a really, really good job there with Liverpool. He has been there for several years now as Jurgen Klopp. Well, he's been there for quite some time. Obviously, he hasn't really won much in terms of silverware. Only won his first major honour with Liverpool last season. Obviously, winning the Champions League. Liverpool, of course, have won the Champions League 6 times. Obviously, before I was at Liverpool, I do believe that Jurgen Klopp, did win a couple of titles with Borussia Dortmund and that. But, Liverpool's record at Old Trafford, isn't that good, especially in the Premier League. They've only beaten us twice at Old Trafford in the Premier League in the last 10 years. The last time they did beat us in the league was obviously back in 2014, of course, back under the David Moyes era. I think they did win by 3-0. And the other time, they did beat us 4-1, which was obviously, back in 2009. But obviously, I hate Liverpool a lot, but, obviously the vast majority of fans and a lot of people out there, believe that Liverpool, would have crumbled, obviously when they lost Luis Suarez, and obviously, when they lost Felipe Coutinho to Barcelona. But, they haven't, they've stuck at it. Liverpool have been dominant now, at least for the last couple of seasons. But, so we're obviously, a massive underdog, going into the game. But the good news is for us that, the vast majority of our players that are now injured are expected, to regain full fitness, by the time we do play Liverpool. Because, we've had actually, quite a lot of injuries, and obviously, quite a few imperative players have been out of injury. But you can't take that. You can't, take that into account, as an excuse, basically, reflecting on our bad run of performances. Because so far this season, we've only won 2 league games this season. We've drawn 3, and of course, we have lost 3. So in that aspect, we've only registered 9 points from a possible 24, and obviously we know that's nowhere near good enough, to our standards. And obviously at the moment we're sitting 12 12th in the league. We're sitting just 2 points above relegation. Obviously, I think, you can quite frankly say, we are facing them relegation battle. Obviously, we're facing a relegation battle, and I think it's now 11 away games. Solskjaer's had now without a win at Manchester United, so definitely our away form needs to improve. Also, our home form does need to improve. Basically, everything needs to improve at Manchester United. And since Solskjaer got the job permanently, and I think we've only won 5 out of our last 23 games in all competitions, which is obviously a very very bad record. And like I mentioned, my recent videos, we have the 4th worst record in the Premier League since Solskjaer got the job permanently. I think it's only Brighton, Watford and Southampton that have worse records than us, at the moment. I think we've only registered 17 points from our last 17 games. But yeah, so the players that are expected, to be available against Liverpool, I think Martial's going to definitely, be back for the game against Liverpool. And obviously, if Martial, can play in this game against Liverpool, obviously it will, cast memories back for him. Obviously, because don't forget, Martial did score on his debut against Liverpool. I think it was back in 2015. He was back in 2015, back under Louis van Gaal era. Obviously, we did win that particular game by 3 goals to 1. And, Martial has missed the last, 6 or 7 games in all competitions with this thigh injury he's had. Obviously, Martial has not played, since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier on in the season. But my overarching view on Martial is I thought, he enjoyed a really, really good start to the season, did Anthony Martial. Obviously, before he sustained the injury, I think he scored 2 goals and provided 1 assist in our first 3 games of the season. So he has been a big miss, and I've got a lot of element of concerns about that attacking line, because I think we do look exposed in that attacking line, especially following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, and obviously due to the injury of Anthony Martial. But it got confirmed at the start of the season that Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt. Obviously he seems to be more effective in that central position, even though he predominantly plays out wide on the left, Anthony Martial. But yeah, much more effective in that number 9. Martial has now been at Manchester United 4 years. He's now into his 5th season at the football club. He has scored over 50 goals for the football club, I think, in all competitions. But yeah, it'd be good, to see him, back in action. Obviously, Luke Shaw, I think he's expected to return. Luke Shaw's also, hasn't played, since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace. Obviously, Luke Shaw, has been a big miss. Very imperative player. Obviously, Luke Shaw is our first choice left back. Luke Shaw, I think now is into his 5th season or 4th season as a Manchester United player, and analysing the majority of his career, I think he's been mainly consistent. He's had some bad spells and that. He had a bad spell under Mourinho, and he's actually quite injury prone. But Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. But yeah, very very imperative. He's obviously been out with a hamstring injury. Got some news of in regards to Victor Lindelof. Obviously, we know that he missed the defeat to Newcastle because of a back injury. Because Lindelof, I think, analysing his performances so far this season, I think he's done really really well as Victor Lindelof. So I will credit him in that aspect. I think he's flourishing at Manchester United, and I think mainly this season so far he has blended in alongside Harry Maguire in our backline fantastically well. I do believe they are complementing each other. But Lindelof has been out with a back injury. I think he's been further assessed, but he should be available for the game against Liverpool. Don't forget Lindelof did sign a new long-term contract not too long ago. He signed a 5-year contract with an option of a further year, and Lindelof now is into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. Like I mentioned, he has had a couple of bad games this season, but I think prior to that, he has done okay. Obviously, Manchester United paid around £31 million to him back in 2017 from Benfica. I think so far has made over 70 odd appearances for the football club in all competitions. Got some news about Wan-Bissaka. He should be back for Liverpool as well. Well, we need him back because, he's missed the last 2 league games for Man United. He's missed the last 3 in all competitions. Obviously, due to illness. Obviously, he has been out with tonsillitis and Wan-Bissaka. And, a lot of people believe, he has been one of our most consistent signings so far. And I will agree on that aspect. And I think if Wan-Bissaka, does keep the consistency up, I think, his valuation, will persistently grow. But I think, Al Wan-Bissaka, will be our fullback for the next decade, and that, and he's still, of course, only 21 years of age. Got some news in regards to Paul Pogba. Obviously, he's missed quite a lot of games, this season. Obviously, due to injury. Recent reports indicated out that, Paul Pogba has been further assessed, due to the recurrence of his foot injury that he had sustained in the 1-1 draw with Southampton and that. Paul Pogba actually, did play in the, the Rochdale game and the Arsenal game, even though, he wasn't fully fit. But he has been further assessed, and it has been revealed that, Paul Pogba has cracked his toe. But I think Man United and himself are still hopeful, that he will be fit for the game against Liverpool. And, definitely, like I mentioned, I think, the majority of this Manchester United team do need a reality check. And I think, Paul Pogba is definitely, one of them players because, he hasn't performed to the standards as we all expect. And I think, analysing the majority of Paul Pogba's career since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016, he has been mainly inconsistent, in comparison, to his time at Juventus and that. But yeah, he should be available. But like I mentioned, I still think Paul Pogba is one of the players that will end up leaving the football club in January or next summer, I do believe. Don't forget, recent reports have actually speculated out that Manchester United, are infuriated with Paul Pogba's contract. Obviously, Paul Pogba's contract. Obviously, reportedly he's demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club if he is to extend his contract at Manchester United. And, we are a massive club, massive revenues, and obviously, we're, very, very rich club in that. And, probably we can, we have got the financial power to meet them wage demands, but I just can't see Manchester United willing to give him that. Obviously, 600 grand a week equates to around, £30 million a year. And as it stands at the moment, Paul Pogba's on a substantial amount. He's on 290 grand a week at the moment on his current deal, so he's on just under 300 grand a week. So in that aspect, he's still one of the highest paid players now. Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his current deal at the football club, with an option, to extend it by a further year. Paul Pogba obviously is yet to get his name on the score sheet so far this season. I think so far this season, he has provided a couple of assists, but like I mentioned, we have seen Paul Pogba, at his best as a Manchester United player. Obviously, I think we mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba. We got glimpses of how good he can be in that 3-month period. When Solsjaker was the interim manager. Paul Pogba was on fire. He was scoring goals left, right, and centre. He was creating. And you mainly do see the best of him when he is 3'd up. To be quite honest with you. But obviously, he's the club's most expensive signing. We did pay £89 million for him and that. But obviously, during the summer, for the entirety of the summer, Paul Pogba was subjected to intense speculation. Now, obviously, we know that he was relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. Obviously, there was quite a few other teams in for him as well. Don't forget, there was talks about him possibly making a return back to Turin. Obviously, allegedly said he had agreed a deadline day move to PSG. It also mentioned that... It also mentioned, that Barcelona would interest him. Obviously, Paul Pogba's brother Mayfield, he fueled speculation during the summer. He fueled quite a lot of speculation during the summer and that. But yeah, there was quite a few teams in for him, but it was mainly Real Madrid. Obviously, I think his move to Real Madrid during the summer, didn't materialise. Obviously, reflecting on the substantial amount, we put on Paul Pogba basically because, we were adamant it wasn't for sale, but we did say if we was obviously willing to do any business, we wanted up to around 180 million. Obviously, Real Madrid were reluctant to pay this, like I said, because Real Madrid themselves spent a substantial amount during the summer. They spent around, £300 million on, 5 players and that, like I mentioned. Obviously, Real Madrid, I think, I've still got Christian Eriksen on their agenda. As far as I'm aware, before that, Paul Pogba is their preference over Christian Eriksen, even though probably Christian Eriksen, would be a cheaper solution for Real Madrid. But yeah, Paul Pogba I think he still wants out of the football club, He confirmed back in June, which was obviously earlier on, this summer, and, Paul Pogba said, he wants to leave the club. He said he's seeking for a new challenge and that. And he actually publicly admitted earlier on in the summer, that he does want to leave Manchester United. But, there was a lot of talks about Paul Pogba leaving last summer. Obviously, reflecting on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. There was a lot of talks about him leaving last summer. And Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho left the football club. And don't forget, Paul Pogba did win the World Cup with France last summer. But Paul Pogba with Man United has won the Europa League and the League Cup. Obviously, that came in his second season at the football club. But we still know, even though he hasn't been the player as we all thought he would have been. I still think he's a very, very imperative player. But I think he'll still leave in January or next summer. Man United is still very, very adamant that he will, of course, he will not be sold in January. And if we had to get rid of him in January, I think, we'll demand the same sort of amount, that we did do earlier on in the summer. Jesse Lingard, I think, also, he should be back for the Liverpool game, and I think he's also another player that does need a reality check because he's enjoyed a really bad start to this season. I thought Jesse Lingard, was very, very poor in the last couple of months of last season, and this season he's also, been very, very poor. And like I mentioned, reflecting on Jesse Lingard's status at the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out, and I think he's on over 100 odd grand a week, but he has been out with a hamstring problem as Jesse Lingard. Obviously, we know that Eric Bailly, he's obviously just the one player, I think, that can't make it for Liverpool. Obviously, because he's out, I think, until the end of December or the new year with an knee injury. Obviously, Bailly had sustained this knee injury, throughout pre-season. And like I mentioned, I think, Eric Bailly's a really, really good player. When he's fully fit, he's got great potential. He shows that ability to play out from the back. But I think, Man United could consider offloading him in January or next summer, or maybe sometime in the future. Not to do that, he has been inconsistent. It's just reflecting on the amount of injuries he's had. I think that's really had a bad effect on his Manchester United career. Also, with his fallout under managers. And Bailly is now into his 4th season at Manchester United. But yeah, he will obviously not be in action for the game against Liverpool. Also, as you all know, Fossil Mensah is out with injury. He's been injured, I think, now for quite some time. And I did say, he sustained the injury, whilst he was on loan with Fulham last season. Phil Jones, as you all know, has been injured. He missed, obviously, the game against, Newcastle and out with injury. I think he's one of the problematic players as well at the football club. So, yeah, we have got a lot of injuries in that. Recently, it says Mason Greenwood, obviously, sustained a back injury. Obviously, I think in the games he's played in this season, he's been fantastic for Manchester United as Mason Greenwood. Very, very good. And I did initially say, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve in that. Like I said, I don't think obviously all the young upcoming players are going to become a success at the football club. I think there'll be only maybe 1 or 2 that become successes in that. But I can assure you now that Mason Greenwood will become a success. So by the time he's 23, 24, I think he will be a world class centre forward. Will Greenwood. Obviously turned 18 at the beginning of this month. Still got a lot of development in him. Obviously, has not yet started again from the start in the Premier League this season. I think so far this season he's made 6 substitute appearances in the Premier League, but he did actually start in the game against Rochdale and FC Astana. He scored in them 2 particular games, so he did come up with a moment of quality. But yeah, I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solsjaker in the aspect, that he has got a lot of faith in his young upcoming players and that. He's got a lot of faith, in his young upcoming players, which is obviously, very, very good. So I think Greenwood will become a success. I think also Alex Tuanzebe, will become a success in my opinion, because I think, he's done really, really well in the games, he's played in this season as Alex Tuanzebe. He's done really, really well. Like I said, he's predominantly a centre-back, but he can also play as a full-back, so, his versatility, and that's really, really good. But yeah, we've got a lot of young players in the squad. I've got element of concerns about Chong. Maybe Chong we need to consider loaning him out or getting rid of him. I don't know. But he's totally comparison, definitely, to Mason Greenwood. Like I said, McTominay's done well so far this season. McTominay, has deserved, to keep his place in the team, reflecting on his impressive performances. Chong has done really, really well. McTominay, has done really, really well. He has done really, really well. And I think in regards to McTominay being long-term solution for Man United, I have got element concerns about that. But hopefully McTominay can keep the consistency up. I thought he had a bad game against Newcastle, but I think prior to that he's done mainly well this season, McTominay. But he has been a regular starter, which is very, very good. I still think he's only, 22 years of age. Like I said with Fred, he's still young, and, I think Man United need to give him more time, even though he hasn't, performed to the same sort of level, as he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk. I think he's had maybe 1 or 2 good games this season, but prior to that hasn't really been that good. But I would give him time. We paid just under £50 million for him last summer, from Shakhtar Donetsk. Obviously, you've got Jimmy Garner. I think, at some point this season, he'll get given his chances. Got Diego Dallo. He's made a couple of appearances for the club this season. He's actually been injured quite a few times this season. As Diego Dallo, I think he's injured at this present time. Obviously, he had a groin problem earlier on in the season. Obviously, he's one of our backup options in that fullback position. But I think he's only 20, 21 years of age. Is Diego Dallo. So he definitely we should get more opportunities, obviously, when he's fully fit. Angel Gomez, obviously, he's another one of our midfield options. Obviously, he's still very, very young. Didn't actually say at the start of this season he's going to be a big part of the squad this season and that. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier on, we'll come up with a prediction, starting 11 prediction, score prediction later, a bit more sooner in the video on that. But like I did mention, the majority of this Manchester United team, do need a reality check. So they do, and I think, Rashford, he's one of the players that definitely needs to step up to the plate because his performances have been very, very poor this season. He had a groin problem not too long ago, just recently recovered from it, but Rashford needs to improve, and a lot of people do believe that Marcus Rashford is overrated at Manchester United, and he's enjoyed a difficult time this season. Also did do in the last couple of months of last season in comparison to his time, to when he first broke into the senior squad with Manchester United, because he broke into the senior squad with us in 2016. And don't get me wrong, Rashford's 21 is he? He's in 22 now. He's one of them either way. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him. I'd still say he is the long-term solution for Manchester United, but he's got to improve. Rashford hasn't scored since the opening day of this season with that 4-0 victory over Chelsea. Like I mentioned, Lingard needs a reality check. Matic, I think he's one of the players that needs to be moved on in January or next summer, because for me, he's not good enough, to represent Manchester United. And obviously, he's aging up now. He's around, 31 years of age. We could lose him on a free transfer at the end of the season because his current contract comes to an end. But Manchester United do have an option to extend it by a further year. But I doubt very, very much that Man United, will extend that contract, by a further year, because he has initially lost his place in the team to McTominay and that. And Matic only played on a regular basis recently in the league, mainly due to the absence of Paul Pogba. So Matic obviously is no longer first choice. He can pass the ball, but the element of concerns I've got about him obviously is his age. Now obviously he's too slow. It makes that midfield, of course, look totally unimbalanced. But he's been poor in the games, he's played in this season. Yeah, Fred definitely, needs to improve in my opinion. Maybe slightly Lindelof, needs to improve a bit. A lot of the players, do need to improve. But in my opinion, I still think these players that have played well this season, despite my bad starter to the season, I think the three signings that, Solsjaker recommended in during the summer have settled in, really, really well. I think, my opinions on Daniel James, I think, he's enjoyed a great start to his Manchester United career. Obviously, we got him for a reasonable figure as well. We paid, 15 million up front for him with like 2 or 3 million add-ons, which did rise it to around 17 or 18 million pounds. And, if Daniel James does keep the consistency up, I think his valuation again, will persistently grow. I'll still say as a prospect, he needs time to develop, and he is still probably improvements needed in his game and that, but he has done really, really well as Daniel James. He has got electrifying pace, not so good at tracking back, so they're my reservations I've got about him. But I think in terms of attacking intent, he is really, really good. Don't forget, scored in his competitive debut at the beginning of the season against Chelsea. Like I said, Bissaka's done well. Harry Maguire's done well. Like I said, I know the football club did overpay for Harry Maguire. Obviously we paid 80 million for him. But, we're known for doing it anyway. We're known for, overpaying for players, and we're known for overpaying for players and that, we're known for doing that. And then maybe with certain players, when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. And like I mentioned, there has been prime examples at this summer, and I know that Harry Maguire was not worth £80 million. He did really, really well with Leicester. He had a good couple of years with Leicester, and that I'd say in the market, in this the day and age, I think maybe 40 or 50 million pounds, would have been reasonable for him. But I said over that, we've basically overpaid for the player. But, Leicester didn't really want to lose him, and this is why they did demand a substantial amount. But like I said, we have overpaid for him, but, he's settled in, really, really well, which, I think Harry Maguire, he's obviously not the best centre-half in the world. I think he may be in the top 4, top 5, but he's on that list, but he's not actually, the best in the world. But he's still a very, very good centre-back. But yeah, he has done really, really well. I do, think that a lot. So these certain players, that have played quite well this season, so I will credit them in that aspect. But yeah, so now I will give you my score prediction, for the Man United Liverpool game. I'm going to go with, I think Liverpool are going to win, got to be honest about it. I think probably 2-3-1 to Liverpool. I'm going to go with 3-1 to Liverpool in this game. I just think, Liverpool, of course, are going to have too much. But now I will get on with the starting 11 predictions. So, obviously, on a regular basis this season, Solskjaer has, mainly gone with a 4-2-3-1 formation. I did say that's the formation he'll mainly go with this season. He's also gone with a 4-3-3 formation quite a few times. He went with some people say maybe the 4-3-3 is a better, formation than the 4-2-3-1. Maybe some people say, we should, try different we should go with different variations of formations, like what I mean is, try a different one out, formations out, and that, he went with a rarity formation against, Outmar, he went, I think, with a 4-1-4-1, but in this game against Liverpool, he'll either go with a 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3, but I think he'll probably go with the 4-2-3-1, so obviously he'll go with David De Gea in goal, definitely Wan-Bissaka at right back, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof as a centre-back partnership, Luke Shaw at left back, that's obviously, the usual back line, obviously, when obviously, they are fully fit. And I think in the midfield, I think Pogba will be back, so he'll go with Pogba in that midfield alongside McTominay. Maybe Fred, but I say McTominay over Fred. And then I think the three attackers, Daniel James on the left. Maybe Andres Pereira could start the game, not too sure, but it will be Daniel James on the left. I'd probably say Jesse Lingard on the right, maybe Andres Pereira in the middle, and Rashford up top. Maybe Mason Greenwood may not start this game. I think he probably will be involved in the game now, but that is my starting 11 prediction, for this game. But like I did say, regardless whether we'll win the game or lose the game anyway, I still think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job it's assured to be safe for now. I think it's assured to be safe for at least the next two matches, as it has confirmed, because recent reports did say, if we are to suffer a heavy defeat to Liverpool, that, Solskjaer's job, could be in serious jeopardy at Manchester United. And it also obviously has been revealed how much Manchester United will have to pay in commission, to get rid of Solskjaer, and we'll have to pay in commission of around we'll have to pay £7 million in compensation. Sorry, not commission, in compensation. That's how much Manchester United will have to pay. But this is a game Manchester United do need to win. Obviously, recently Solskjaer has come out and he's actually accused a lot of I think he's accused all the players of trying to get him the sack. But I still believe the Manchester United board are backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But this game against Liverpool, is a game Manchester United do, need to win. But like I mentioned, so far this season, is a really, really bad season we're having. It's worse than last season, and last season was bad enough because we finished 6th. Obviously, we failed to win in Silverware, and obviously, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say, that's one of the main reasons that went against us during the summer, because obviously, if you're not in Champions League football, it's going to be hard to attract players to the elite level. But yeah, so I think already Solskjaer's making plans for the January window. He's making plans for the Alright. He's making plans for the January window. I think also too Ed Woodward is making plans for the January window, because obviously furthermore investment is needed in the squad, and you're still getting like certain Manchester United fans, and you're getting certain pundits that are still backing Solskjaer despite our bad start to the season. There's still basically some people saying we should give him at least a couple more windows, to see who else of course he can recommend to the football club. Obviously Solskjaer's obviously looking to build a team that obviously can win trophies and obviously be competitive in that. But I've been reading recent reports, and it actually does say that we are set to target 8 signings over the course of the next 2 summers. So we do know a massive rebuild is needed at the football club. Like I recently mentioned to you as well, that, despite the fact that a lot of players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe, these more problematic players at the football club. But, Italy has been a very, very popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer because, like I said, quite a few of them have gone to Italy. I think around 4 of them have gone to Italy. Obviously, we do know that, some have been loaned out. But like I mentioned, due to our inconsistency, you can't just. Not all the blame stems from Solskjaer, some of the blame stems from Solskjaer, and that because, his tactics and that are questionable. And I will admit, we are tactically inept, so obviously Solskjaer in that aspect has got to take some responsibility, but I think the blame stems from everyone. But like I mentioned, I think the vast majority of the blame stems from the board because, the board, have been a liability for years. Not only this summer, they've been a liability for a lot of years. A lot of Man United fans have been criticising the board because, with their poor recruitment and their poor selection of managers. Obviously, the board assured that Solskjaer would have been backed in the summer, but he wasn't backed enough. I think the board confirmed at the start of this season, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job should be safe until May because the board realised that they didn't back him enough. I also criticise Ed Woodward. He's got to take a lot of the blame as well. A lot of Man United fans are also demanding him out of the football club. I think like I said, a lot of players have got to take some responsibilities because, they haven't been showing any heart, any passion or any desire. They're playing with no attacking intent. We're struggling to score goals. We're even struggling to create chances. We haven't registered a single shot on target in the last couple of games. But yeah, so I think basically everyone is to blame. In my opinion, I think the board need to assure structural changes at the football club, and I think they're too much of a liability. So I don't think they can assure these structural changes in that. But I will mention the board again. Take into the equation that we know that boards and that not only Manchester United, we know that boards are very, very ruthless now when it comes to teams doing really, really bad. Obviously, the managers get put under serious pressure and that. But like I mentioned, the board are really are softening their stand. Our board's softening their stance on Solskjaer because obviously he was a club legend. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that. So he has got that proven pedigree as a player, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So our board have been softening. I think if this had been any other manager now, they would have been sacked by now. But yeah, the board have definitely are keeping their stance softened on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But like I did say, maybe some people believe, he needs more time at the football club. Overall, Solskjaer now has been at Manchester United now for around 10 months. So he's basically been at the football club just under a year. And we do know that Solskjaer's endured a difficult, 7 months with Manchester United. He's endured difficult 7 months with the football club because obviously, since he got the job permanently in March, which was obviously not earlier on this year, everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong. And, obviously we recommended Solskjaer in December of last year following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. And obviously, Solskjaer, don't forget, we paid a couple of million to get him in his interim because he was interim for around, it was 3 months he was interim. And in that 3-month period, he did well. The results were good, the performances were good. He got the best out of these group of players. And he exceeded expectations in that. But obviously, since he got the job, like I mentioned, everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong. But, my other element of concern about Solskjaer is, he hasn't really got that managerial experience, not to the highest level. So that's another element of concern I have got about him. He has no intuition as a manager. This is what makes me think he won't succeed in management and that. He hasn't really got that managerial experience at the highest level anywhere. Before he came to Man United, he won a couple of Norwegian titles of mould. Obviously, he had a really, really short tenure with Cardiff, where he managed about 30 games and that. He actually got Cardiff relegated. People are saying if we keep him on for the rest of the season, he could end up getting us relegated. I don't see it happening because this club's too big for relegation. Don't forget, we haven't been relegated, I think, since 1974. So obviously, that's over 40 odd years ago now. But yeah, no, we won't get relegated. But like I mentioned on my last video that I did earlier on today, I think, we need at least five, maybe even six more signings, if we are to be, back to being a competitive elite level football club. And of course, if we are to be a future title contenders, because we're not analysing our squad at the moment, it isn't good enough, for, to win the league or, even a challenger for the league. But like I mentioned, reflecting on the history of this football club and, reflecting on the amount of money that's been invested into the football club over the years, we should be much more of a commanding position, than winning now. We should be. We should be much more of a commanding position, than winning now. So I am actually ashamed to be a Man United fan. I've been ashamed to be a Man United fan, in the last, 6 or 7 years. And like I took into account that, regardless of who our manager is, even if now we had a manager, a manager now with a proven pedigree in that, they'll never ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. No one can invoke Ferguson's legacy at Manchester United, and definitely Ole Gunnar Solsjaker can't do that. Ferguson, remember, didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United. Obviously, when, we recommended him in from Aberdeen back in 1985, 1986, he didn't win out in his first 4 years. And at that point, managers, like I mentioned, I got the time, that they obviously, would have liked in that. But, obviously he was one game away from getting the sack and he didn't. And then obviously, look what Alex Ferguson, went and accomplished. Obviously, we had 20 odd years of success under him and that. I think he was at Manchester United around 26 years. And obviously the vast majority of our silver won, obviously, was under Ferguson because Ferguson, won about 38 trophies. But yeah, and a lot of people believe us, getting rid of Solskjaer now, would obviously, not solve a lot of problems at the football club. And this is maybe why some people are saying, where we do need to, give him more time. But I think he could still be here by January. I think he will. I said he will get sacked by Christmas, but now there's actually been a change of scenery. Now maybe the club and the United heresy could consider, giving him at least until January, to see who else, of course, he can recommend into the football club. Because, like I mentioned, Solskjaer is making plans already for January, and I think if he's still to be here by January, I think he's keen on continuing the policy of signing, them young British, of recruiting them young British players, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But we didn't address all the problematic areas during the summer, so that did concern me. But there again, I said it was going to be extremely difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. So for me, we need a midfielder. That's one of the priority areas where we need to strengthen up. We need to add depth in that midfield. We need more creativeness in that midfield. We need a striker without a shadow of a doubt. We need a goal scorer. We need a striker, obviously, to replace Lukaku, Some people even say we may even need a fullback. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer, Manchester United were in search for a right winner. But yeah, there's still quite a few areas in the squad, that do need to be, reinvested into. Without a shadow of a doubt. But, like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you can still quite frankly say, is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, because analysing the majority of this Manchester United team, it isn't Solskjaer's. The majority of this Manchester United team is actually Jose Mourinho's, and taking into account Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of Jose Mourinho's players. He's still inheriting players here from the Van Gaal era. He's still inheriting, Matt here from the David Moyes era. There's still a couple of players here, from the Alex Ferguson era. So you can also, take that into account. But like I said, we're not going to get the top 4 this season. I've actually disregarded it now, even though there is still a long way to go. We're only 8 games into the season, but I said we need top 4 this season, obviously, to get back into the Champions League. We need Champions League football. I've disregarded it. I don't think we're going to get the top 4. I think, with the way things are going at the moment, I don't even think, we'll finish in the top 7 and that, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I'm just being, deadly honest with you. But yeah, definitely, Manchester United need to start getting results. We need to start scoring more goals, because we've only managed 9 goals in 8 Premier League games so far this season. And yeah, but yeah, like I mentioned, we're enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. And like I said, there is a list of managers on our agenda, who could replace Solskjaer, the football club. And obviously, we do know there's been recently a lot of talks about, Max Allegri. Obviously, I think Max Allegri is actually interested in coming to Manchester United to replace Solskjaer. Obviously, Solskjaer's sat. I think Max Allegri, he's actually, well, according to recent reports, he actually notified Man United that he will take over at Manchester United if he's only to be if he is to be assured the job within the next couple of weeks. Now, do you think Max Allegri would be the right candidate for Man United? Obviously, I think he recently said he's learning English in preparation for his potential move. Obviously, so far he hasn't managed in the Premier League. He never played in the Premier League. So far, Max Allegri has actually spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy. Obviously, spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. And that, he started off obviously playing and managing small various Italian clubs. Then obviously emulated up and that. And with Juventus, he had 5 years with Juventus. He obviously won quite a lot of trophies with Juventus. Obviously got them to 2 Champions League finals, but he is managerless now. He stepped down as Juventus manager earlier on in the summer, and he's in his 50s. He's Max Allegri. Reportedly, he's actually our number 1 priority to replace Solskjaer. So Man United we've put him as our primary candidate. Probably we may have to pay something to get him in, I'm not too sure. But yeah, he's the number 1. There's other managers that have been mentioned, don't forget there's Pochettino. A lot of Man United fans believe, Pochettino, would be the right candidate for Manchester United. Don't forget, Pochettino at one point was the club's first choice, went in for him actually after the sacking of Jose Mourinho, went in for Mauricio Pochettino. But obviously, we didn't get him because at the time, Tottenham had no intentions of, letting him go. I don't think himself, he wanted to leave Tottenham, but he's under immense pressure at Tottenham, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is at Manchester United. I do believe if we did get Pochettino in and we was to reignite our interest, the club would have to pay £32 million in compensation and that. Pochettino's he's still got, I think, around 4 years left on his contract. He signed a 5-year deal last summer with Tottenham, if you do remember lightly. Not this summer, just gone last summer of last year. He signed this new 5-year deal, so I think it's worth around 8.5 million a year. I don't think there's any release clause included as well in the deal. But, Mauricio Pochettino is good at developing young players. He's well Premier League proven. He's been a long-serving manager now. He's been managing for just over 10 years, all in all. He's obviously spent the majority of his managerial, career, with Tottenham. He's now into his 6th season with Tottenham. He has been at Tottenham 5 years. Has invested quite a bit of money into the Tottenham team. Obviously, before he was at Tottenham, he had a great short tenure with Southampton, did Pochettino. But, at the time, we just went for Solskjaer because, obviously, Solskjaer, was a cheaper solution. And, Solskjaer does now the culture and that of the football club. But, yeah, I think he's still on our agenda. There has been, there's still talks going on about Laurent Blanc, but I can't see Laurent Blanc coming in. I think he's actually, a favourite to get the Lyon job. Well, what I recently saw. Anyway, don't forget Laurent Blanc is a former Manchester United player. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers has been mentioned. I think a couple of others have been mentioned as well. Wenger, I think quite a few Man United fans, believe he would be the right candidate for Manchester United and that. But yeah, there's been a few managers mentioned, but I think we'll probably stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for this present time. And like I said, it's worse under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, than what it is under the Jose Mourinho era, and it was bad under the Jose Mourinho era. Despite that, he won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season with Manchester United and that. Like I mentioned, I think Man United recommended Mourinho in too late. I think if we'd have got him in after Ferguson's retirement, then maybe it would have been a different scenario with Manchester United. Because back in the day, Mourinho was a fantastic manager. He's won stuff and that, everywhere he's been. He has, got that proven pedigree as Jose Mourinho. He's got that proven pedigree and that. But like I mentioned, we sacked Mourinho, obviously. We paid Mourinho around £20 million to sack him. But the reason it didn't work out the reason his tenure at Man United didn't work out is because obviously he had, didn't get the signings that he wanted in, so the board didn't back the signings he wanted in. He had bad disputes with the board and bad disputes with quite a few of the top players and that. And these are the reasons why basically they didn't work out under Jose Mourinho. He spent just under £400 million with the football club. Like I mentioned, he recommended 11 players in. But yeah, he just didn't work out under him. But like I mentioned, in all the managerial eras, a lot of money's been spent since the Alex Ferguson era. An estimate, I guess, I think now 700 or 800 odd million pounds has been spent at Man United. Obviously, that's just under £1 billion we spent on players, and that's not taking into account, what was spent under Alex Ferguson. But yeah, a lot of money's been spent at Man United, and Solskjaer's our fourth permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. We haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers, like I do keep saying, but I think he's on his way out with the football club, in my opinion, and that. And yeah, like I mentioned, this is the worst Manchester United team, I've seen in this generation, for a long, long time. So, in that aspect, some people have sympathy for Solskjaer for that. Obviously, we had a great team back under the Alex Ferguson era. Like I mentioned, he developed a lot of young players, but, now it's a different era. It's not Ferguson era anymore. It's a different era with different players, different groups that we are building. Obviously, different, cultures and that, and, yeah, just different, really, really different. And I said anyway, the club's we've had cultural problems, for the last 6 or 7 years. Like I mentioned as well, we haven't only spent, big on players. We haven't only spent big on players. We've also, got quite a lot of players now on big, massive contracts at the football club. Like I mentioned, you've got Rashford on 300 grand a week, around that anywhere. Martial on 200 grand a week. Pogba on 290 grand a week. De Gea on 375 grand a week. He's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world and the highest paid at the football club now. You've got, Harry Maguire on around 200 grand a week. So we have got players on substantial wages, to be quite honest with you. And like I said, we have got quite a few players on our agenda, who we could go in for in January, like I mentioned to you earlier. Obviously, quite recently, there has been a lot of talks about, Matthias Norman, who currently, plays in Russia for Rostov. Reportedly, Solskjaer is keen on recommending him in. Don't forget, Matthias Norman played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's guidance when he had that loan spell with Mould. Obviously, so Solskjaer's probably keen on reuniting with the player. Well, he's originally from Norway anywhere, is this player. He's 23 years of age. I think he joined Rostov earlier on in the summer. I think he did get awarded the Russian Premier League Player of the Month. It was back in September, if I'm right. I think, he's available for a reasonable figure as well. I think, Man United alone have to pay around, £20 million and more. That's what he's valued at. So he's actually, a cheap alternative. I think he mainly operates as a box-to-box midfielder, or can he also, play him as a defensive midfielder. Before he had that loan spell with Mould, he actually had a couple of years with Brighton. But obviously, Matthias Norman I don't think he made one appearance in his 2 years he had with Brighton. So, I think obviously, we're seeing him as an adequate replacement for Ander Herrera. We're looking to obviously, get a replacement for Ander Herrera. And obviously, there's other players on our agenda, who we could go in for. So I do believe, some of the players, we was in for during the summer, probably more than likely we'll reignite our interest in some of them in January, and maybe, leave some until next summer. But yeah, I was reading the Telegraph. They reported not too long ago that Man United are set to target up to around 8 signings within the next 2 summer transfer windows, and that. This is what I basically said. Yeah, so that's everything to update with. So this was to get main part of this video was to give you my score prediction, as I said earlier on in the video, 3-1 Liverpool. I'll also give you my starting 11 prediction for the game. Obviously, a Manchester United fan. I will keep the faith all the way. I'm starting to lose faith in Solskjaer, and vast majority of Manchester United fans now are starting to lose faith in Solskjaer. But as he's still our manager for now, I will still back him. That's basically my overarching view on that. Yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.